Hello everyone, and welcome to another How Lou Sees It review. I am on the road again, and so for your listening pleasure today, I have another audio review. I would like to talk about Tinytouchtales digital apps called Card Crawl and Card Thief. I had not heard about these apps previously, but when Card Thief came out a few weeks ago, I saw a lot of buzz and a lot of praise for the game, as well as its predecessor, Card Crawl. So I needed to get a hold of these and try them out. So Card Crawl was the first one that's been out for a while now, and so I started with that one, got into it, opened it up. Great user interface, some fun animations, great artwork. And so I was already, pretty impressed with it. Open it up, the tutorials, it's pretty easy to get a grasp on the concept of the game. Very simple. Basically, you're trying to get through a deck of cards. You're trying to get through a dungeon, basically. The theme of the game, you're facing off against this orc creature person who has a deck of cards, and he's representing the dungeon, if you will. And in that dungeon deck, there's going to be monster cards, swords, shields, potions, and treasure cards. And your task is to first survive through all of the dungeon cards. And secondly, is to try to do that with the most amount of coins, treasure value throughout the game. So how do you survive the dungeon? Well, you have a character card, and it's going to have a certain number of hit points. The base game here, you're starting out 13 hit points. Then there's open card slots to the left of your character and the right, representing, left and right hand. And then you have a storage slot for a card as well, represented by a backpack. And what you're trying to do is the dungeon row is just above you, and it's going to start out with 4 of the dungeon deck cards in it. And your task is to clear those cards somehow, and you can do that in multiple ways. So monster cards are obviously the bad things that can kill you, and so the dungeon deck also provides means of dealing with those monsters. So first of all, you may encounter a monster, a value of 3. Not a big deal. You could just drag that monster onto your character to deal it a direct 3 damage, taking you from 13 hit points down to 10. That clears the monster card. You're good to go. You could grab the dagger that's in the dungeon row, bring it down. It's a value of 2. And you could drag that 2 value sword card or weapon card onto the value 3 monster. That will take the value of the monster down by 2 down to 1, and then you can drag that 1 value monster onto your card, and then you're only going from 13 to 12 hit points. Okay, so weapons, when you utilize those and drag them up to a monster, that's it. That's the use of the weapon. So if you take a level 6 weapon onto a level 3 monster, it's a little overkill, but you've utilized that weapon. You can't, it's a one-time use deal. So you probably should have saved that for a higher level monster. Shields. Oh, I failed to mention. So you can't just drag the dagger from the dungeon row onto a monster. You have to be able to equip that weapon to use it. So you have to drag it to a left or right slot of your character before you can then drag it up to kill or injure a monster. So once that weapon has been used, that slot is opened up for another card. such as a shield. If you drag a shield to the left or right hand, that will remain there until it is damaged beyond its value. So let's say you have a level 7 shield and you drag a level 5 monster onto the shield. 7 shield, subtract the 5, now you have a value 2 shield, and it remains there. Let's say you follow that up and there's a spider level 8, and you drag that onto the shield, and it will take off, or take the spider basically down to 6, and then that remaining 6 damage will go directly to your character automatically. So the shield will disappear, it'll open up that slot, and you'll take 6 damage, the remaining damage, whatever's left over, to the character. The potions, when they are dragged onto one of the open slots left or right of the character, that immediately utilizes the potion. So let's say you're down to 9 hit points. If you drag a 4 potion on there, you're going to go right up to 13. If you're at 9 hit points and you drag a 10 potion, a level 10 potion into your hand, you're still going to just go to 13, and you've wasted that higher level potion. So you'd want to wait until you're down to like 3 hit points to use that strong of a potion. So it's this balancing act of when to utilize each of these different things: the weapon, the shield, the potion. And then you have the treasure cards. Now the treasure cards and with the potion, so if you drag that into your hand, you're going to automatically utilize that potion, but your hand is still holding the empty potion bottle, if you will. You can't drag anything else into that hand until the end of that round. And I'll explain that in a second here. The same goes with the treasure. So if you have a 10 diamonds, which is a 10 value treasure card, you can drag that into one of your hands or your backpack. Now, if you drag it into your hand, you're going to get that money, but it's going to take up that hand slot until the end of the round. If you drag it into the backpack, unlike the potion, the sword, and the shield, you drag that into your backpack, you automatically get those coins entered into your total amount. You still can't drag anything else into the backpack for that round. Now, what do I talk about round? Well, like I said, there's 4 dungeon cards that come out. So when you have removed 3 of those 4 cards, that's the end of the round. The things that have been used up are discarded from your hand and backpack, and 3 more cards are dealt out. So you don't have to deal with all 4 cards, and that's part of the other strategy, is when to pull cards down into your hands and backpack slot, and when to leave them up there. You may encounter lots of monsters in one round, and you can leave a higher level monster as that 4th card in the dungeon to see if you can get cards to help you deal with it in the next round. The other thing that you can do, so I feel like the game, as I played it, I was like, wow, this is pretty easy. Like, if you are very conservative, you can win this game most of the time. I would say the base game, pretty easy to win the game if you get used to all the actions, and maybe a little bit of a learning curve, but not much. I think if you play conservatively, you can win this game most of the time, in my opinion. Now, where the challenge comes is more in the aspect of, it's kind of this risky element. So instead of pulling a sword down into your hand, let's say you have a level 5 sword. There's no monsters out right now. You're feeling pretty safe. I don't really need this sword. Well, you can sell the sword for whatever value it is into the store or whatever it is. So instead of taking the sword into your hand, I could get 5 treasure out of it, 5 coins. So that's the element of, okay, well, here's a level 10 potion. Very powerful, very useful, very life-saving. Or I could risk it and sell that to the store for 10 more coins. So that's how you can get more coins. You know, that's where the challenge, I think, comes from, and is trying to get as many coins as you can. And that's where you get a little risky and do that. Now, there are other cards that will also help you, special ability cards, and you start with, 5 or whatever it is. I can't remember if you start with all 5 or not, but there's like 35 different special ability cards that you can unlock as you collect money throughout the different plays that you've done. So as you go through the game, you're going to unlock new special ability cards, such as the Frenzy card, which allows you to utilize a weapon twice, or the Bash card, which allows you to turn one of your shields into a weapon, and you can use that weapon over and over again. It's going to lose 1 durability each time, so if you have a 7 shield, you use that against a monster, you actually keep the shield still. It just drops from 7 to 6. So pretty powerful if you can get it on a high level shield. There's Lucky Shot, which may remove 1 or 2 monsters or 1 or 2 cards from the dungeon. So, get the good stuff out. Lucky Shot, see if you can kill that, kill both soul eaters that came up without dealing with potions or weapons or shields. There's a Revive, which allows you to equip it, and then if you were to be killed, you won't be killed, but you'll be hit down to 1 life point. There's just tons and tons, 35 different special ability cards, and when you play the normal mode, whatever cards you have unlocked will randomly be shuffled in there, and so there's a lot of variability to the game. There's a lot of content there to try to unlock. I think I'm on like 18 or something of 35. I mean, I've played the game quite a bit, and I'm still trying to unlock all these things. So there's a lot of content there. As you play a few rounds, you can then unlock the daily dungeon, or I think it's called the daily dungeon, where there's basically a daily puzzle that you can that everyone's the same deck, so you can kind of rate yourself compared to the other players, with the deck being exactly the same. You eventually unlock the deck merchant, which allows you to create your very own dungeon deck, and you can change the life points of the character and all sorts of stuff, the values, number of cards, a lot of flexibility, and it's really fun. I created one. I think mine's 26. Oh, I'm not going to be able to remember it now. 2678 MKH. It's on my Twitter feed, at Landon Squire. Check it out. It's really fun. I called it Blackjack. It's Blackjack themed, if you will. I try to create an atmosphere where it kind of feels like you're playing Blackjack a little bit, with the monsters, and the treasure cards are all like 21. And anyway, I think it's pretty cool. But I had a lot of fun creating it, playing it, testing it. And so let me know, download it. Let me know what you think about it. Share it with others. I think it's fun. But so there's that. Then there's a part that I haven't even got to. There's like an endless mode, it sounds like, which you unlock once you have all the special ability cards unlocked. There's other characters that looks like you can unlock, but you have to complete the specific requirements to unlock it, and I haven't unlocked those yet. So there's just so much content. It's a very simple game, but there's so much more to it as far as to give it some variety. And like I said, I think it's fairly easy to win most of the time. So it's not going to be one of those that you're going to be like losing the majority of the time, which, I mean, a lot of those games are fun, but it can be a little demoralizing. This one, you should be able to win the majority of the time. And then once you're used to it, then you start pushing yourself and taking more risks and saying, oh, I'm gonna actually sell this level 7 weapon instead of pulling it into my hand. There's obviously some little nuances that I'm not going to be able to cover in all of this, but that's basically it. The only other thing I'll mention is that there is, so let's say you got dealt just a terrible hand in the dungeon row. You have 3 level 10 monsters and a level 5 monster, or 3 level 10 monsters and a level 2 shield. There is which is very important distinction and can be very useful in surviving the dungeon, is the ability to say, oh, I don't like any of the 4 cards that are up in the dungeon row right now. You can take 5 damage, and those 4 cards will be reshuffled back into the deck. So, I mean, that might sound initially and be like, 5 damage? Ooh, it's kind of a lot. Well, not when you're facing down, 30 points of monster damage. So that element is an important element, I think, to make the game actually work. And it can be a very important strategic choice to take that 5 damage and get those cards reshuffled back into the deck. Anyway, that is Card Crawl. I probably talked your ear off way more than I needed to on that, but it's very, very fun. Now, Card Thief is like, it's amazing. It's a really, really fun game. Now, this one is a little more complicated than Card Crawl. And not only is it more complicated, but it's more puzzly. It's more, how do I even, well, I'll kind of describe the game a little bit. Now, I'm not saying these things in a bad way. I actually really, really enjoy Card Thief. And I may even enjoy it more than Card Crawl, which I enjoy a lot too. But Card Thief is definitely going to present you more of a challenge. And the tutorial, there's so many different cards and things going on that the tutorial does a good job at introducing the mechanics and how to play. But you're going to be looking at it and playing it, and you're not going to fully understand all the interactions of the guards and everything in this. So, I mean, the theme for this is you're a thief, and you're going into these different places, trying to steal a chest and get out successfully, as well as collect as many other pieces of treasure and rob as many guards as you can. So, and it's very interesting. So in Card Crawl, you're looking at, okay, I have a row of cards that I need to deal with, and I have some cards that I can kind of keep and handle with down here. Card Thief, you have your thief in a 3x3, 9 card grid, and you're moving the thief around in this grid. So you have torches, and I mean the other thing about this game is really cool, is you're sneaking around, you're a thief. Well, the game plays a lot on lighting. So there's torch cards, and the torch cards light up the cards that are adjacent to it. If you And so you want to try to get rid of these torch cards because they can hamper your ability to move around, for one thing. And if a torch card is lighting up one of the sneak cards, it basically makes them useless. And you need those sneak cards to try to get your sneak value back up. It sounds a little silly as I'm talking about it that way, but it's very well done. And so you start out with like a value of 10, but as you move across these cards, you have to spend those sneak points, if you will, to get around. And so you're going to be going through, and your sneak value is going to go lower and lower and lower. And there's ways to get the back. You can clear. If you clear all the cards from the board, you get a reset, which is actually a little bit of a spoiler somewhat. I don't remember ever learning that, but discovering it. And that's one thing that might some people may have an issue with, is it's not going to be completely clear like the first time you play through the tutorial. It's a game that actually allows you to kind of learn about the game as you go. And I actually have really enjoyed it. It's part of the game, really. I view it as that. And so it's really fun trying to figure out this game. And I'm not really good at it by any means, but I'm getting better. And it's because it allows you to, it doesn't come out and say in the tutorial, this is exactly how you need to do things all the time. It's not going to give you all the strategy. And because it doesn't give you the strategy, or every single little detail in the tutorial, first of all, that would have been probably daunting and too long. But it allows you to get into the game quickly and also discover strategies as you're going through the game a little bit better on your own. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's very enjoyable. I like it. So anyway, you're sneaking around. The guards have like a specific direction on the card that they're pointed to, and the animations are really fun. So if you are walking through an area and the guard sees you, they'll get some sort of expression on their face and different things like that. It's just very well done as far as the card interactions and the animations. Really fun to see animations on the cards themselves. And so as you go through the dungeon, eventually the chest will come up as a card, and it will start off as level 1. Now, as you move your card around on top of the other cards, the level of the other cards are going to increase. So that's both good and bad. So the treasure cards will become worth more as you move the card around. The guards will increase in value, making it harder to pass by them. Or if you come and you are going through, coming from the behind the guard, they can become worth lots of money if they're in the dark and you come from behind in the right direction. Anyway, there's a lot of nuances. It's really kind of hard to explain this one, but it is very, very fun. I highly recommend both these games. Card Thief is really, really, really fun as well. I'm getting into that. It also has a dungeon, if you will, or a daily, I don't know if they're all manners. There's different levels that have different types of cards in them. So there's that. There's equipment cards in this, similar to where you had special ability cards in Card Crawl. You can take, in this one, it's a little more strategic in a way that you have access to your special ability cards throughout the whole game and when to use those. And so there's definitely more strategy to this one, I think, than Card Crawl. And so that really appeals to me. And you can level up your special ability cards, your equipment cards that you unlock as you go through the game. So very, very fun. Very impressed with these. You should check them out. Again, Tinytouchtales, Card Crawl, and Card Thief. And they are fantastic. And that is how Lou sees it. Thank you for joining me. And please leave comments and questions in the review. I'll get back to you. And yeah, have a great day. We'll catch you on the other side.